Hi everyone, it's Doug Shepard, your fearless leader, addressing some important issues of the day and some developments have happened just this week with the National Association of Realtors, California Association of Realtors, Anywhere, Better Homes and Gardens, and this specific brokerage. I know some of you have heard about the proposed settlement in the national lawsuit, but also there's some things happening at CAR and at our local state and local associations I want to make you aware of. And I want you to hear it from us because these issues affect our brokerage and how you do business. Now, if you've been listening to me for the last year, I've been saying that we are moving towards a different form of buyer-broker relationship and the way we are compensated. And I've been trying to prepare people. And to that point, we will continue training this Tuesday and Thursday, today being March 16th, Saturday, 2024. But next week, we're going to be addressing buyer brokerages, how to use the forms, what these new changes mean. But I wanted you to know this. It is important that we educate ourselves and get out in front of this issue. And this issue is simply this. It is how we relate to our buyers and how transparent and how professional we are. And I am not scared at all about the changes coming forward. I don't think that this organization will be affected adversely from it. I think we will be building positively from it. And I think, in fact, I know that if you implement the ideas of what the lawsuit's about and what the changes are about, you will be a better realtor. You'll do more for your buyer clients than you've ever done before, and you'll have a better relationship, and you'll have a more secure career, and each individual transaction will be less suspect to scrutiny. So let me talk a little bit about the lawsuit. As you know, last year, the National Association of Realtors was involved in a lawsuit, and they lost, along with Anywhere, and along a number of different large organizations. And what happened is that the buyers, plaintiff, lawyers argued that because the buyer does not know what the other agent is what their own agent is being compensated by, they have no say in the negotiation of that fee, that they are adversely affected by that. Meaning that if they knew, they might negotiate a lower fee, get a little lower price, and the jury agreed. And the jury said, hey, no, it's you're guilty of price fixing, and at worst, that the non-transparency caused sellers and buyers to lose money. That was the essence of it. But prior to that, the National Association of Realtors have been in negotiations with the Department of Justice for years. And they finally, just last week also, got concrete guidelines of what the DOJ wants. And they align with these items I'm about to talk about. So, Anywhere settled. That is, Anywhere is the parent company of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Champions, but also of Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, and a couple others. That company settled and made some changes, agreed to do some things that did not change our business at all. Basically, it says, hey, as a broker, I am not forced to be part of the National Association of Realtors by my franchisee. It also says that I can't be part of an MLS that doesn't offer zero compensation in the cooperative compensation section of the MLS. All of those things is fine, and we were already doing. So that's not a problem. The National Association just last week came to settlement with the plaintiffs on the following. Now, this still needs to go to court, to the judge, and in July of this year, we anticipate that they'll have the final ruling that this is okay. But here's what it comes down to. The National Association of Realtors will pay $418 million over 4 years, as opposed to $1 billion or $5 billion that was looming out there. And so that protects some of it, and the association will have to use funds to pay that. But that's the financial issue, and if that resolves and they do that, that'll be fine. The next thing, though, is that buyer-broker agreements are to be used, and sellers cannot compensate the buyer broker. So, how the change here is that our multiple listing will not be able to have an offer of compensation, right where it says broker offer of compensation, BOC, and it says 1%, 2%, a dollar, flat fee, whatever it says, that will be stricken from the item, from the multiple listing. With that said, it doesn't preclude us from making an offer as a concession to the seller. So if the seller says, yeah, I'm willing to pay 6% of the buyer's cost, a buyer could use that 3% or 2 or 2.5 or 1% to pay his brokerage, his buyer broker. So yes, that's a change, but it's a fundamental truism of our industry that the buyer's always paid the commissions. How? By paying the price that included a brokerage. Now, in the past, a listing agent or a listing broker and the seller had an agreement, and then the listing broker offered compensation to a buyer's broker. So the compensation was between the listing and the buyer's broker. Not anymore. Now it's going to be an offer from the seller if there's any, but the seller could offer 0, and if they do, that's perfectly fine. So, at the end of this process, here's what's going to happen. We will be required to use a buyer-broker agreement. We'll have to learn the skills and how to present them and what to do with them and the ins and outs of them. And I am committed to teaching you that. Secondly, we may have to negotiate our fees. We're going to be negotiating our fees with the buyer, but then taking that buyer fee and maybe negotiating it with the seller in the form of our offer. And we'll have to include that. Those are the basic changes. Now, how the MLS handles this with concessions, how the lenders handle it, I don't know. But I can tell you that it will change some of the details of a transaction, but it still makes us stronger if we learn the skills. So I'm not worried about it. I'm actually excited about it. I think it's long overdue. I think I've been purporting that this needed to change for years. I've argued for it at California Association of Realtors, and just our last session in January, they passed a resolution to sponsor a bill, which we are now got a sponsor for in the California State Legislature, to make buyer brokers agreements mandatory. In other words, just like our listing agreement that by law must be in writing under the statutes of frauds, that it has to have certain elements, but it has to be in writing. A buyer-broker agreement will have to be in writing. And I think that's a good thing. It'll make you stronger. In the past, we could use them or not use them, and then the buyer could say, well, I don't want to sign that, so I'll go to another agent. Today, when this passes, and when these rules come into effect, everybody will have to do it, so you'll be on a level playing field. It's just what you can negotiate from a commission point of view with the buyer and what they're able to pay and how it will be compensated. Will we ask for it from the seller, or will the buyer pay it, or will it be a combination of two? I want you to know that we're moving forward. I don't think it's going to hurt us at all. I think it's going to help us over the long run. And if you stick with us and come to training and get an idea of what we're doing, you, specifically your business, will profit and prosper and be a step above. Forgive me, but I always say this, but the more two things are the same, the more the differences matter. Your skills are the difference between someone else. I've recently heard some brokers say some really uninformed, unprofessional things. Like, well, now it's all changed because the buyer our services were free to a buyer. That was never true. It was always paid for. Just as if you go and buy a suit and there's a commission paid to the salesperson, who pays the commission? The buyer, in the form of the price. On a car lot, who pays the commission? You do, in the form of the price. So I'm saying that the ideas may be foreign to you, but I am not afraid, and it's time for us to do it and grab hold of it. So stay in mind, come to the meetings, tune in on Tuesday, tune in on Thursday, and don't forget April 11th, we have a special meeting at Inland Valleys Association of Realtors at 11 to 2. We'll address this slightly, but I have a great speaker that can transform your business and help you help buyers even more. So, I'm excited for you. 2024 is a great day, and it's time for us to move forward. Thank you, and let's go on.